Last year we did the top 10 most popular discs for 2020, and it was very interesting to see the impact that the pandemic had on disc availability. Disc golf literally exploded in popularity because it was the one few things people could actually do. Now with 2021 at a close, we're seeing a lot of similarities to 2020, where disc golf manufacturers once again struggled to produce enough discs to meet demand. Either way, today on JustDisc, we're going to let you know what the top 10 most popular discs were for 2021, while also providing just a little bit of insight into each of these discs. So let's get into it. Now before we get started, it's very important to note that this top 10 most popular disc is based off the sales of InfiniteDisc.com. In other words, although they sell a lot of discs, this is not the total market tally of all discs sold from all sources, so keep that in mind. Alright, now with that out of the way, let's get into this top 10 most popular discs for 2021. Starting off with number 10, the Innova Aviar. And yes, the Aviar continues to make the top 10. The Innova Aviar has a speed of 2, a glide of 3, a turn of 0, and a fade of 1. It's a straight flying, stable, beadless putter that has been around for such a long time. Its consistent, subtle fade finish, whether putting or throwing, as well as just its clean release, is part of the reason why this disc has remained so popular. Its most popular mold or variation is definitely the KC Pro Aviar, used by a lot of professionals. And in terms of skill levels, honestly, all skill levels can benefit because it's a putter and it doesn't have too much fade. Now moving on to the 9th most popular disc of 2021, the Innova Firebird. And if there was one word that best describes this disc, it would be trust. This disc is popular due to players' ability to trust its flight. Whether in a ton of wind, a ton of rain, whatever the situation might be, it's an overstable fairway driver that you can count on to have that fade back. It is pretty much the most predictable disc that's on the market, and once again, a lot of disc golf manufacturers have copied this disc for good reason. If you're afraid of losing the disc to one side, you can definitely count on the Firebird. Or if you're looking to skip the disc around a corner or around a bend and really get a beautiful skip finish, this disc is going to shine for that. They don't have to worry when they take out this disc. It really does shine for those forehand torque resistant shots. However, it does work well for backhands also. And in terms of skill levels, beginners stay away from this disc. Even intermediate players may struggle if they get the disc a little bit too heavy and they don't have the power. They're going to struggle to get any kind of flight out of this disc. Moving on to the 8th most popular disc of 2021, the Infinite Disc Pharaoh. Now the Pharaoh has a speed of 13, a glide of 6, so definitely going to hang in the air, a turn of -1, and a fade of 2. So this distance driver has been best described as a high-speed flying disc with some fade, but less overpowering fade than something like the Wraith. And this is a disc that compares very much to the Wraith in terms of popularity and what people like to use. Intermediate players tend to love this disc because they don't have quite the amount of power necessary to throw something like a Destroyer or even a Wraith. So it allows them to get some subtle turn out of the disc to get those maximum distance shots. And for a lot of players, it will definitely fly farther than their Wraith, but perhaps with a little less accuracy. We did check out a few reviews and some people had mentioned that it can be finicky on your release point, but once again, that depends on your power and skill level. Someone with perhaps a little bit less power, that intermediate level, is going to be very accurate with this disc and also get a good amount of distance. Now for the 7th most popular disc of 2021, the Gateway Disc Wizard. The Wizard has a speed of 2, a glide of 3, a turn of 0, and a fade of 2. And this disc is really what put Gateway Disc on the map. It's really the main disc that they are known for, so you really can't go wrong if you're looking to pick one of these discs up. It's an overstable, beaded putter with a fade of 2, so a little bit more fade than the Aviar, but a lot of people, a lot of professionals especially, love this because they can throw it hard off the tee and they can as well putt it and count on that trusty fade. Spin putters also love this disc because of that bead and fade. It really holds good stability. It can take that torque created by the spin. And this disc comes in so many varied plastics because of its popularity, so definitely take a look at this disc if you're looking to choose a new putter. As far as skill levels go, it pretty much suits all skill levels. It is a putter after all. However, perhaps beginners may just shy away at least to start because of that beaded rim and that faded too. Best to try something else before moving up to this more overstable putter. Moving on to the 6th most popular disc of 2021, the Infinite Disc Emperor. The Emperor has a speed of 12, a glide of 5, a turn of -1, and a fade of 2.5. This distance driver is definitely the most popular distance driver by Infinite Disc, if not their most popular disc. We've seen many people comment and say that it acts like a flippy or beaten-in destroyer, which a lot of players can benefit from. Most of us can't throw destroyers. We don't have the technique or the power. So this is the next best thing if you still want to get a ton of distance but also maintain some control. It's Kona Panis's go-to distance driver when she's looking for distance but also some control, so always a good indicator when it becomes a professional signature disc. Now for backhands and forehands, it works well for both, but more preferably for those forehands due to that torque resistance. In terms of skill levels, beginners definitely stay away, it's too fast, but intermediate to advanced will definitely benefit. It might be your go-to distance driver. It may also give you some good control as well. It really depends on your power. Moving on to the 5th most popular disc of 2021, the Infinite Disc Alpaca. The Alpaca has a speed of 3, a glide of 3, a turn of 0, and a fade of 1. So it's a stable beadless putter with great glide and great stability, and a lot of people in the comments from reviewing this disc have said it's pretty much just like an Aviar or a P2. So many putter molds that are out there on the market are just copies of one another with slight changes, slight differences. So this disc has a nice subtle fade finish, whether off the tee or whether for putting. So many people use variations of this mold, and in terms of skill levels, everyone can really benefit from this disc because it's a putter and it's not too overstable. Moving on to the 4th most popular disc of 2021, the Discraft Buzzz. Now the Buzzz has a speed of 5, a glide of 4, a turn of -1, and a fade of 1. It's a stable, beadless mid-range that will take any line that you put it on depending on the power and the release angle, but it always has that subtle fade finish back to the target. If you ever want to see a professional really maximizing the benefits of this disc, definitely check out Drew Gibson. He throws some incredible distance drives with this disc as well as controlled shots. It is the best-selling disc in the entire world, and we're not just saying that, and that's because it has multiple uses. Multiple skill levels can benefit from this disc. Beginners will use it to have some good control, but also sometimes even get the most distance, and professional players can really use it to shot shape it or hit any kind of line that they're looking to hit. Is it a heavy fade disc or a heavy turn disc? No, and that really is the whole point of this disc, and it is pretty much the best one disc type round. Well, that and also the Mako 3. We can't forget that Mako 3. Now looking at the 3rd most popular disc of 2021, the Innova Wraith. The Wraith has a speed of 11, a glide of 5, a turn of -1, and a fade of 3. It's an overstable distance driver that's pretty much like the Destroyer except one less speed. But that one less speed makes it much more beneficial to players with a little bit less skill and a little bit less power. If you're a player who struggles with distance driver destroyers, get a Wraith, Emperor, or Pharaoh. You're going to get more control, you're going to get more distance, and you're just going to have a much more enjoyable experience. And in terms of forehands and backhands, it works very well for both. I use it for both personally. It is my distance controlled driver. It does hold up pretty well in the wind, not as well as a Destroyer. There's a reason why people use Destroyers on windy days. However, it still does a pretty good job. And who is this disc for? Pretty much intermediate, advanced to professionals. Professionals get some good shot shaping out of it, like Garrett Gurthie. He really is a power player who dominates the use out of this disc. And then those intermediate players who don't have as much power and technique are going to have some really good control while still getting some distance. Moving on to the 2nd most popular disc of 2021, the Discraft Zone. Now the Zone has a speed of 4, a glide of 3, a turn of 0, and a fade of 3. It's an overstable, beadless approach disc or mid-range, depending on who you talk to, with a very thick rim. And that thick rim really provides a good overstability for this disc. The main reason for the popularity of this disc is for approach shots, you don't want any lack of confidence. You want to know where this disc is going to go. Trust is what this disc gives. And we really don't know any Discraft player who doesn't bag the zone. It's pretty much Discraft's go-to approach disc, very similar to Innova's Pig. For backhands and forehands, it does well, but it really shines for forehands because it has such good torque resistance. And when the player Brodie Smith came on tour a couple years ago, he made it one of his signature discs. And again, so many players carry it because it's just a trustworthy approach disc. As far as who should use this disc, definitely intermediate to more the professional player can benefit. Beginners could use it, but that fade is very strong, and unless you have a good amount of power, you're not going to get the most out of this disc. Finally, the #1 most popular disc of 2021, you guessed it, the Innova Destroyer. Do we really need to talk about this disc? I mean, we've talked about it so much already. Okay, the Destroyer has a speed of 12, a glide of 5, a turn of -1, and a fade of 3. It's an overstable distance driver that pretty much all Innova professionals carry. But the reason why professionals love it is backhands and forehands. It works extremely well, very good against any kind of windy day condition. It also works well for torque forehands when you need to put a lot of torque and not have too much turn. It's going to shine for that. And lastly, it just beats in so well, and professionals like those beaten in destroyers for either more distance, more turn. It really depends, but it is a go-to for many professionals. So that sums up the top 10 most popular discs of 2021. Do you have any of these discs, or perhaps you're looking to pick some of them up? Well, definitely be sure to check out the links in the video description. Now, before you go, if you haven't yet seen our top 10 for 2019 as well as 2020, be sure to check it out. Thank you so much for watching JustDisc and being a part of the JustDisc community. If you liked your experience, you know exactly what to do. And if you want a little bit more, be sure to check out our Patreon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt.